Okay. Best believe we're going to talk about Holland again at another time, especially when it's officially announced. But I got to talk about this Chelsea Arsenal match. And funny enough, my phone needed an update. So while I was using the Twitter app, it wasn't giving me the proper Twitter space notifications or whatever, right? So I'm now back into it as of late the last few days. Been back listening. Some spaces are extremely toxic. All it is all it is banter, which is fine. But it's funny now that I think about Chelsea and Arsenal because the talks back and forth have been extremely reckless. But I think one thing that's so true, with this on screen, is that the reason why the EPL is loved by so many fans, and I think it's a non-debate that the EPL is actually the dominant league with regards to eyeballs across the world. But what makes the EPL so magical is no win is a locked in. I know there's a lot of talk about Liverpool and Manchester City going to win every match to close out the season. It's not the case. If it was the case, people wouldn't be tuning in and the what ifs wouldn't be out there. Okay? The same thing happens with this Chelsea Arsenal. Chelsea and Arsenal, many would have said, guaranteed win by Chelsea. They go through the list, player for player, manager. One team's playing for something, the other team isn't. No guarantees in the EPL. And Chelsea got slapped. Chelsea got slapped by Arsenal. 4-2. No one. I don't care. I don't care what fan you are. You could be a Chelsea fan, you could be an Arsenal fan, you could be a rival, a neutral. No one saw 4-2. Nobody. And again, the full breakdown, player by player ratings, how the formations, who did what. I'll be honest with you, don't got time like that right now. Watch the highlights. Arsenal was in very good control of that game. The goals that they gave up, sloppy defensively. I talked about it after the Champions League exit by Chelsea. The main thing that I'm Thomas, Mr. Tuchel, Mr. Tuchel. Again, I keep butchering his name. Apologies, Chelsea fan. But he's got a lot of questions to answer. I know the season's not over, but there's a lot of questions to answer. Yes, you've had your injuries. I'm not going to dismiss that. But your opponent, Arsenal, also have their injuries. It's one thing if one team riddled with injuries and the other teams at full strength. Both of you, both of your teams had injuries. And Chelsea manager surrendering surrendering so many points in the Champions League quarterfinals, questions need to be answered. Chelsea manager should be outclassing a young, inexperienced manager at Arsenal. Questions should be answered. Dare I say it? If the season doesn't net out, if the season doesn't net out with hardware and nets out with a fourth place finish, very little points gap between fourth and fifth, considerable distance between first and second. Yeah. Dare I say it? Would Roman Abramovich would he have pulled the "you're fired"? Would he have pulled the trigger? I'm asking the question. I don't know the answer here, but I'm asking the question. If those things happens, and I know again a lot of ifs, but if Roman was still owner of Chelsea, would the current Chelsea manager be stressed about employment? I don't know. I don't know, and I want to ask the